This is Marissa Jaret Winokur, and you're listening to You Might Know Her From with Damien and Ann.
Well, folks, it finally got me. 2 years in, here I am, quarantined in my own house. I have COVID, and I'm sitting here looking at my dear friend, Damien. Damien, how are you doing?
I am alive, and I'm here, and I'm looking
Me
at
too.
you. And
I haven't showered in 5 days, maybe 6. I'm just deciding to let the filth accumulate and then break through. But I'm feeling okay. It was just a surprise that after all this time and all of this safety that I've been experiencing, that here we are, COVID positive. But I'm doing okay. My partner has been leaving trays of food at my doorstep, which has been nice. So I've been having breakfast and lunch and dinner in bed for most of the week.
oh, that's kind of glamorous in a way. You know?
In a way, yes, yes. But I'm doing okay. Welcome back to our little show, You Might Know Her From, with Damien and Ann. I'm Ann.
And I'm Damien, and it's great to be back here with you. As we were starting to prepare for hitting record, we were talking about New York disappearing, and I was always like sort of obsessed with this idea that folks would talk about like the New York of their time. You know, it's like, oh, remember this. And now I'm at the age where it's like, remember Chat and Chew, which is what I was like squawking about before we started recording. Like Chat and Chew and the coffee shop, and we think it's called Rock Around the Clock like diner, like all of these like staples where you could like meet a friend. You know, it's like I would be like, okay, cool, I have like this much money in my account, let me go meet this sort of fair weather friend or someone I'm trying to become friends with for like a lunch. And those were the places.
I lament the loss of like Virgin Records in Times Square because that was where I would just kill time when you were waiting for someone who was late. It was incredible. I lament like the loss of a Barnes and Noble at Lincoln Center. It's like, these are not things I should be lamenting, but New York has gotten even more corporate, so it feels sad to even lose those places that were places where you could like browse for artistic things, like Colony Records. Colony Records.
Oh, that was a huge loss. Yeah, that was a huge loss. I remember feeling very sad about that. Well, here we are. We're still here. I always think of that as a Baz Luhrmann, that song about like
Is it Baz Luhrmann? I don't think you've ever started a sentence to me with that involved in it. Where are you going with this?
That song that he has, that's like, it's him, right? It's like sunscreen. Like you need to wear sunscreen, and the older you get, you'll always think that prices.
Was that him? I thought that was like Anastasia.
No, I think it's Baz Luhrmann. Hold on, we're gonna keep this.
Like this SPF, the sunscreen song.
Yeah,
Baz Luhrmann made a song.
Am I crazy? Yeah, sunscreen. Okay, I'm right. I'm not crazy.
I know the sunscreen, but I didn't know it was Baz Luhrmann.
Yeah,
in my head,
it's Baz Luhrmann, and I think that I'm like sort of obsessed with the idea because I feel like I remember listening to it and like talking about it with my dad probably about the idea that you do think like you don't consider inflation, you don't like you get older and you think music that you grew up with and you're like, or movies you grew up with are the best. And it's like, I am the king and the queen of that, where I'll be like, the last good year for a movie was like whatever year. And it's like, it's because I stopped caring about movies. Or like, you know, it's like I'm like Marvel, like I love a superhero movie, but like I'm over everything being a sequel and everything, you needing to see 100 movies in order to like follow the plot of one. It's like, eat my ass. So I
really eat my ass. I would prefer it.
I think that Baz Luhrmann was correct, but also like I'm just getting old and crotchety, and like New York is just is disappearing in my hands like sand.
Yeah, I know. We've lived long enough to become the villains at this point, and. It is true though. Like I really am like, what is the last year that I knew a movie that like what the best pictures were? Like maybe 2006, maybe if we're lucky. I couldn't even tell you what happened in 2006.
I used to be like, you know, we've discussed this ad nauseum, but like I used to be such a nerd for that shit, and like now it would be like I would be like, I don't know, I'd rather just give you $100 if I had to bet. Like I'd just be like, I don't know. But if you ask me like the best actress lineup from like 2002, got it locked in, you know?
Yeah. I feel like there are a few good movies out that I'm excited about, and that includes the Michelle Yeoh movie Everything Everywhere All at Once, which I saw the trailer for when I saw that terrible film Belfast, and I thought, this is a movie that is made exactly for me. Also, Jamie Lee Curtis, like maybe in like a long gray wig. I'm so excited to see it, and the buzz that I've heard from people that I do trust has been very good. So that's like a new movie that I'm excited about.
Yeah, everyone has that movie on the tip of their tongue, so yeah, I need to see it ASAP. I'm looking over here. I was just opening my TheraBox before we started recording.
Is that like a subscription box for like therapeutic things?
Yeah, I mean, it's like mostly like it's
self-care.
Like self-care. So it's a lot of like beauty and sort of those types of hygiene products. My friend Sarah, listener of the pod, one of my oldest friends from when we were 15.
Love Sarah.
Sarah sent this to me for my birthday. She sent me a few months of this. Everything smells great in this particular one. There is a product though that I think is for a woman. I think that is like these types of things sometimes are like interesting because they just assume that a woman is the only person who subscribes to these. I believe this is for when it says put it on a tissue paper, and then it says directions. To clean, soothe, and refresh the skin, apply toilet tissue and use as normal. No rinse required. And it says uses to thoroughly clean and refresh after each bathroom experience. Use with confidence and feel the difference. So I think this is to put on, I'm assuming, like a vagina opposed to, like an asshole, but maybe it's for both. I don't know.
I feel like if it can go in your vagina, I feel like it can go in your asshole. This is like it's interesting though that I always am frustrated when those products like don't just say what they do. They try to have euphemisms because it used to be like douches were called like Summer's Eve, and it's just like, just say what it is. I appreciate that products are like, I love that thing that's like Boudreaux's butt paste, and it's like, thank you, you've told me what it is. There's a picture of like a baby with paste on its butt. I understand what your product does. I don't need you to not say the word vulva on your product just because you think it won't sell.
Okay, so a little foam just came out.
It looks like mousse.
It smells good.
Asshole.
It smells
good. Put it on your asshole and report back.
It smells like a baby wipe, so I'm assuming it's fine. So yeah, maybe I'm going to start carrying this around, and I'll say I got dewdrops of spring in my, I'll like have it in the side of my backpack, and I'll be able to bring it into the bathroom just to make sure that I'm always ready I'll be always ready for the Marvel Cinematic Universe to eat my ass then.
Very well played. I just opened up my nightstand to show you my self-care products, and they include a Vicks inhaler, 2 flavors of Vicks, working hands lotion, nasal spray, edibles to sleep, foot balm, and a peppermint oil stick for my migraines. So it's less glamorous, but we're all about self-care here. So we are into actual products. I do actually realize this, that the older I get, the more I am ready to purchase a product. So if you guys have good recommendations, please let us know.
Yeah, I'm real gullible. So if something gets sold onto me on Instagram, I'm ready to go. It's like, it'll make I don't know, they're always telling me my dog's paws are like, linked to her gut health, and I'm like going to cry every time. So I'm very gullible when it comes to being sold a product. I'm always ready to go.
I get advertised lots of things related to like chiropractic needs. So lots of things for my neck, my psoas major, my back, my coccyx. So I feel like Instagram has figured us both out. Folks, if you're new to the show, please know that here we are each week talking about our bodies, talking about pop culture. We're longtime friends, collaborators, and we meet here every week to also interview an actress each episode. We are closing out our 4th season. So dig back into the archives if you're interested in seeing some of the incredible women and nonsense performers that we've had on our show. We're in the 120s now. This week is episode 123, which is pretty outrageous. So we will be coming back next week with our finale, and then we will be on hiatus for the summer. We'll meet you back here in the fall for sure. And we like to drop little surprise episodes over the summer for you. So please make sure that you're subscribed, tuned in, plugged into us, so that those new episodes will drop as soon as they come out, because they will be like a little Easter Bunny surprise for you. But let's get on with this week's episode, our penultimate episode of season 4, and that is, of course, with the great Tony-winning actress Marissa Jaret Winokur.
Marissa was just like a good time gal. I felt like we were really just chatting with a friend. I felt like it was very easy. I feel like she knew what we wanted to know. And yeah, I mean, I just had a total blast getting to hear, the Grease talk alone was just...
I know. The reveals. Titillating.
Exactly. Marissa was just so generous, and it was so great to chat with her, especially because her career is so interesting because of her Broadway experience. She obviously won a Tony, but then has this like other world of a career as sort of a host and a personality, and we get into all of that. And I just thought that she was just so candid and so funny and so kind.
You might know her from American Beauty,
What We Do in the Shadows,
Celebrity Big Brother,
Fever Pitch,
Stacked,
Dancing with the Stars,
Retired at 35,
and her Tony-winning role in Hairspray on Broadway.
Folks, we are here with, and this is our theory, Marissa, that the theater community knows you as Marissa Jaret Winokur, and the film and TV industry knows you as Marissa Jaret Winokur. So please set the record straight. Please tell us, Marissa, how is your last name pronounced?
Marissa Jaret Win-oh-kurr. It's Winokur.
Yes! Theater people
are
out.
so much smarter. Well, because they listen. Because they're like, and the winner is Marissa Jaret Winokur. No, I'm just kidding. The film people haven't given me any awards, so they don't know yet.
I have to say,
We've
we
always
really
said
scoured,
Winokur.
Yeah, we said Winokur, and then Anne was like, actually, I just heard an interview now where it was a Winokur, and I was like, oh my God, I have to say it all week now so that I don't mess it up.
No, they're always wrong. It's always wrong. People always say my name wrong. I mean, not in the theater, they don't, of course.
I think Dancing with the Stars got it right, though.
Of course they did, because I was like there physically with them. They, but they would be like the plus size dancer, and I'm like, okay, can we just say my name? Like, do we really need? Is it really the plus size dancer? How you're going to intro me? Yeah. Or how about Tony Award winning actress? It was like Marlee Matlin was like, Oscar winning actress, the plus size dancer, the Olympic gold medalist. I was like, really? Is that how we're doing it?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
What a business. What a business.
It's great.
Well, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here. We have to dive right in because you won the first season of the American Celebrity Big Brother. You beat out Ross Matthews in the end for the $250,000 prize. And you said your son was a huge fan of the show and you did it for sort of like street cred with him.
Yeah.
So can you tell us and our listeners, what was the most surprisingly awful thing about living in a house with all of those people? And who do you think was your biggest competition?
Oh, that's a great question. The biggest surprise I had was that I was like never wanting to go home. Like I was the one person who was like, and honestly, I would, if you asked me to go back in tomorrow, I would be like, I'm in, can we do the 80 days? Like, no, I like loved not having to worry about anything else but myself. And nobody cared about me in the house. Like nobody, I was never like on the block going home. I was never like in jeopardy, except for like Omarosa, who was like onto my shtick. Like she was like, get Marissa out from the beginning, but nobody was going to keep Omarosa. So I clearly it didn't matter that she hated me. But I mean, she didn't hate me, but wanted me out of the show. But no, I would have stayed on. I like the most surprising thing was I was so happy being there. I was genuinely happy being away from my family and responsibility. It was awesome.
Yeah. So, like, let's just say theoretically they do like 2 more or 3 more seasons of the celebrity version, and then they want to do like an all-star celebrity. You would go back?
Oh,
you would go back?
Oh, I'm there. Even when they were doing it this year, they had, like Celebrity Big Brother, and I was like, if someone drops out, I mean, like, I was like, I think on my Instagram, I was like, if anyone gets COVID and you need me, I'm home without COVID, I'll totally jump on in there. Like, let me get out of my house. Yeah, no, I loved it. I loved it. I listen, I'm a true reality fan. Like I love reality TV. I love everything about it. Even during the show, like my brain was working so much that I knew like if I were watching this reality show, I would want Omarosa out, but in reality, I wanted her to stay because she's good TV. Like I knew we can't get rid of her because she's really good TV and she's going to keep people watching our show. Like I was like thinking that way, like I love reality TV. So,
I feel like they always are like, Big Brother super fan, and it's like, well, then why are they so bad at it? But I felt like you and Ross and Shannon all seemed like real fans. Omarosa also said she was a big fan, but I didn't believe her.
Well, she didn't stand a chance, only because she wasn't gonna win Big Brother. I actually became really good friends with her. I actually genuinely like her. Omarosa is a character, like it's like Ursula, like it's a villain. She's a villain. She plays a villain on TV. Like I would watch the transformation of Omarosa changing, like she would like do her shtick of being Omarosa the villain, and then she was like totally chill and hanging out in the house, and she knew they weren't going to ever use that footage. Like she had been around reality TV so much that she was able to like click into villain, give them the bits, and then go back out and be like a normal human. She was awesome. I actually genuinely enjoyed my time with her, which was very surprising. Ross and I were both such big fans. Like we watched the show for so long, but unlike Ross, I'm a theater person, right? So I know how people are in like the theater world. It's like being in a show backstage. You have to get along with everybody. You can't say anything bad about anybody. Doesn't matter if you don't like somebody or like somebody. You have to like be kind and fun and kind of just get along with everybody, right? So I kind of treated it like theater where you may not like somebody, but it doesn't matter. And I think like that's literally why I won and he didn't, because I had the relations that he didn't have.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, Marissa, we're going to dive in, of course, to your Tony-winning role as Tracy Turbnlad in the original 2002 Broadway production of Hairspray. So the story goes that Rob Marshall, who was involved like in the early stages, remembered you from your memorable scene in American Beauty and put you up for the role. So can you tell us that audition story and the whirlwind experience of sort of starring in a mega hit new Broadway musical and being sort of like the new it girl toast of the town?
Well, I mean, yeah, it was Robbie Marshall. I met Mark Shaman and Scott Whitman, who wrote the music. And I was the first girl they met for it. And the entire time of doing like every workshop Broadway run through, you know, you do workshops of Broadway shows prior to doing the Broadway show. They were like, you're not going to be the girl. We're just like, you're just basically doing these workshops for us so we can figure out the show. But like, there's no way you're going to do it, which ended up being great because it made me work much harder. There was no like, I wasn't like, yay, this is mine, and aren't I great? I was like, I must do voice lessons. I must take dance lessons. I've got to prove, you know, I had to keep proving myself. And like, it's like having a parent that like doesn't really love you. You have to keep proving yourself to them. Like, that's exactly what it was for me. It was like having a, you know, an unapproving mother. I was like, oh, maybe one day she'll enjoy my show. That's kind of how I felt about the entire Hairspray company. And then they finally let me have the role because then we switched directors. It became Jack O'Brien and Jerry Mitchell, who we love. And then I thought I was going to lose it again because now like new people come in. They want to give it to their people. They want to find new people, you know. And then we opened and it was like exactly like what you said. It was a complete whirlwind. I mean, it was everyone's like, oh my God, overnight, there's this girl overnight. And I had, you know, I'd already done Broadway for 4 years. Prior to that, I'd been in a million things. But overnight, I was like this huge success, which was great. It was great. I was old enough to appreciate it and young enough to be excited about it, but old enough to not like just, you know, do cocaine and not come out of my dressing room, you know, like I was able to like handle the pressure, you know, because it's a lot of pressure. Like there was many nights that I was prior to opening that I was like, man, if I just get hit by a bus, people would have been, she would have been so good. She would have been so good. And I just was like, maybe if I just get hit by a bus, everything will be okay, you know, because it was so stressful. It was a lot.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
Yeah.
Hairspray is sort of like woven, like the legacy of Hairspray has been like woven into your career. You appeared in Hairspray Live alongside Ricky Lake as Mr. Pinky's Girls.
Yep.
And then you and Ricky and Nikki Blonsky sang Mama, I'm a Big Girl Now at the end of the 2007 movie remake.
Yep.
You reprised your role of Tracy at the Hollywood Bowl and for its Broadway closing.
Yep.
So 2 questions.
And Carnegie Hall. Boom, boom, everything. Yeah.
Trifecta.
Yes, exactly.
So 2 questions. Number 1, do you think you'll ever play Tracy again? Like, we did see Ellen Green play Audrey at City Center at the age of 64. Like, can you see yourself doing Tracy in 20 years at City Center?
No freaking way. No way. I'll do like concert version of Tracy. I'll do that tomorrow. Yeah. Like, I feel like I'm always singing. I feel like there isn't a thing that like doesn't honor Mark Shaman where I'm not like, oh yeah, she'll come in and sing Good Morning Baltimore, and then Megan Hilty will sing something from Smash. Like, it's like I'm always part of that mix. I do not foresee me playing a 16-year-old girl when I'm 65. I think it might be a concert version. Totally.
I think that the City Center with Little Shop
it was like staged.
It was a stage version with like, you know, things.
Staged reading.
All right. I could see that.
I'm telling you, it's still to this day like one of the best things we've ever seen. So I feel like, you know, we're in it for you.
I can't believe I missed that. I remember hearing about it. No, I'll be there. Matt Morrison will be there. Carrie Butler will be there. Laura Bell will be there. Oh yeah, we'll all be there. Yeah. I mean, I feel like isn't this year is our 20 years from opening. I'm surprised. I bet you we do something because it's 2002. Yeah. So August will be 20 years from when we opened.
Craziness.
Crazy. And I look exactly the same.
I mean,
really
not
do.
far off, which is like
legitimately.
really good. Like, that's why I was like, I think she could do it right now, legit.
Thank you. I mean,
you
when
do
I
like
did it at the Hollywood Bowl with Nick Jonas, it was super creepy. I mean, not the first 4 rows. Because that was like only like 8 years ago. So I was already in I don't remember. All I know is like I was 40 and he was like 21. So whatever the math is, how long ago that was, it wasn't quite 8 years ago. And he like literally was like 21 and I was 40. And I was like, well, if you're not in the first 4 rows, it's the Hollywood Bowl. Who cares? You know,
literally, who cares? I don't.
Exactly.
Okay. So 2nd question is, why wasn't Nikki Blonsky one of Mr. Pinky's girls in Hairspray Live?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm a people pleaser. I
Fair.
love Maddie. Have you seen Maddie lately? The girl, Maddie.
No.
Maddie.
She was in Cinderella.
She was really good.
She was really good and such a sweetheart. And go check out her Instagram. She literally looks like Betty Boop. She's like the most adorable. She's like spent the last 8 months, 10 months, I don't know, just working out and roller skating and her body be banging. She looks so good. Not that she wasn't beautiful. Oh my God. It's oh my God, she was beautiful, chubby. She's beautiful, skinny, whatever. But she looks so cute. She looks so adorable. And I love her so much. She's such a sweet girl. Such a sweet girl.
Hairspray Live was a really high watermark because, there's a real range of the live musical experiences. And it was so good. And when you and Ricky came out, we were all
we screamed.
Super emotional about it. We're this is so wonderful.
Me too. And I even during it was Mama. Then I was holy shit, that's not me. That's not my part. That was weird because I was also still kind of in a Tracy Turbnlad costume, but I was also, again, in my 40s. So
yeah.
Wah, wah.
So Tracy sort of turned you into this dance celebrity since the show is such a dance heavy show. And you made it, for those that don't know, you made it into the semifinals on Dancing with the Stars. And then you hosted the dance competition Dance Your Ass Off, which was created by former guest of this show, Lisa Ann Walter.
Love her.
So we've heard you say that people have criticized your foray into hosting or reality TV, but that you'd happily return to Broadway if the role was right. So do you still feel that way? Or does the idea of moving back to New York to do 8 shows a week sound inhumane after Sun, Space, and experiencing TV money?
Fair. That is a very, what's so cute is that you're going back and doing 8 shows a week sounds impossible, but then you're oh, TV money. Oh, a child. Oh, my dogs. I'm oh God, the idea of having to not talk for, no, I'm actually finally now in that place only this year. After COVID, I honestly believe that COVID made me kind of go oh shit, I'm just put my life on hold. Why am I doing that? Right? I'll never forget when I moved to Los Angeles to begin with, I had done Grease on Broadway for 4 years. I was the girl that jumped into that show and was I'm Jan and I'm going to be Jan until this show closes. I was 21 when I did that show.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And anybody would be people would be leaving to get they're I'm leaving to do an audition. I'm blink, blink, we're on Broadway. What are you leaving for? Literally, I was so you have the dream job. This is what we grew up dreaming we were going to do. Why are you, you're leaving to go wait tables and then audition because you're bored with the show? Oh my God, what's wrong with you? And I literally did the show for 4 years. But I remember my father driving me to the airport because I was I'm going to go. I came out for a girlfriend's wedding in Los Angeles and booked a TV show and was oh, literally record stop. I was you make how much? I had no dreams of TV or film. That was not my, I want to be Ethel Merman. I just want to be on Broadway. There was nothing in me that even I never studied TV and film. I only studied musical theater. You know what I mean? There was no one on TV that I would wanted to be because there was nobody like me, So when I came out for Lucy Lawless's wedding, who's Xena, but she's one of my best friends. And I came out for her wedding in 98 and booked a TV show and was I remember calling my dad and being it's it's a bar mitzvah every day because of the food, craft services. I couldn't understand. I would pack a thing to go home. I was they're giving us food for free. On Broadway, if you get Sunday bagels, it's because you brought them every 15 weeks. You bring the Broadway bagel, But I was oh my God, the money and the free food. It was all about the free food, right? And then I stayed in LA because I was holy shit, this is awesome. But I remember my dad, we were driving to the airport. It could make me cry, but he literally made a tape, a cassette tape of There's No Business Like Show Business. I know, Ethel Merman just singing it full out. And because I guess he wasn't thinking I could just press rewind, and he made it play for I swear to God, for 45 minutes, my dad did There's No Business Like Show Business and played a cassette tape to drop. Because when I went back to New York, grabbed my things. I was I'm moving to LA. And he's but it's such a waste. You're supposed to be on Broadway. I know, it's so sweet. It's so sweet. And he just kept playing it. And I the whole time I was again, Dad? We're doing this again? He's you'll be back. This is where you belong. They might pay better there, but it's a waste of your time. It's a waste of your, your talents, what you're supposed to be doing. Luckily, my dad was around for Hairspray, so all good, all good. He got to come to, he got to see it. He was at the Tony, so he was right. That was definitely where I was supposed to be. But then after Hairspray, they were here's all this money, come back to LA. And I'm okay. It's literally I'll come back and take all that money, right? But now after COVID, I think COVID taught us all a lot of things. I mean, we all went into a deep, dark depression and we're all trying to like still figure out how to get out of that depression. And how I've been getting out of that depression is like, oh, I'm singing again. And I'm like, oh, right. I put my life on hold because I had a kid and I was greedy and I like money. But now I have to stop putting my life on hold because we did just put our lives on hold for 2 years. And that wasn't fun, but that was like almost just like magnifying that I've been putting my life on hold, you know? So yeah, so I'm definitely now starting to work on like, what's that like one woman show? What's that thing to get back out there and just be like, okay, hi, you want to see me do Mama Rose? Because I'll fucking break your heart doing Mama Rose. You know what I mean? Like, let's just go. Let's just stop messing around. So now I'm like, I'm ready. I could see myself going back to New York in the right role for, you know, and who cares? Like, honestly, it's like, it's fine. We have plenty of money. I can go back to Broadway, you know? I know that sounds like really weird, but like, it's true.
No,
we all
really
need like stability in this life. That was the other thing that COVID taught us is like, if you didn't have job security or like shelter, it's like, we all need these things in our lives.
Yeah.
And this country is devastating. So
and my son went to boarding school, guys, like just on top of all that, my kid, he's like an 11-year-old boy going through puberty with overbearing Jewish parents who like all I wanted to do was like snuggle with him and cry because the world was coming to an end. And he's like, please get out of my room. I'm going through puberty. And then literally we like went away to summer camp to a tennis school and was like, I should be here. I need to be here. Please don't ruin my dreams. I'm supposed to be a tennis pro. Like, swear to God. And like bailed on me and my husband and is like in boarding school. And we're both like, oh, that's also the universe being like, no, go live your life. Like he's choosing his dreams. Why are you not choosing yours? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I ask, is there any version where like you were putting Funny Girl on the table?
No. That's what's so crazy. I've gotten so many texts lately that are like, oh my God, you should be doing Funny Girl. Why aren't you doing Funny Girl? Like, I just saw Funny Girl. Oh my God, you should be doing this. You were robbed. I'm like, I wasn't robbed. I didn't even I never even auditioned. Like, that wasn't even in my universe. No, aren't I too old for Funny Girl, you guys? I mean.
No, look, it's a theater. Do you know what I mean?
No, I'm too old for Funny Girl. But thank you for saying that. No, Funny Girl was never. It's just so funny. I literally just sent a couple of texts to my friend today being like, I feel like I need to go see Funny Girl because everyone that's seeing Funny Girl is like, why aren't you doing Funny Girl? Like, so who knows? You know what? She can't do it forever, right? Put in an old lady. Put an old gal in. Give her a shot.
I'm telling you, you're ready. You're ready to step in.
I do. You're funny and you can sing and I think you look young enough. Let's get
and
her on.
You're Jewish, which is important. They're finally casting Fanny Brice as Jewish, which feels important.
It does feel important. I got a couple of calls being like, how do you feel about Renee Zellweger wearing a fat suit to play this Pam character? And I'm like, why are you asking me that? Screw you. Like, what does that mean? I think she's great. Like, I'm kind of in the place of like, I want to be an actress, so I want to be able to play anything. So I have to stand by if Renee Zellweger wants to wear a fat suit and play Pam, well, God bless her. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm kind of like, I'm also wearing my fat suit today, and I also would like today to be lovable, and I'm going to wear my fat suit and my Big Mama House makeup. So, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Okay. So as you mentioned, you made your Broadway debut as Jan in the 90s revival of Grease on Broadway. We are both, and genuinely both, obsessed with this production. We both unabashedly love Grease, and then this revival kept casting this, like, fabulous parade of pop culture icons. Like, let's give a list for our listeners. Rosie O'Donnell, Megan Mullally, Debbie Gibson, aforementioned best friend Lucy Lawless, Brooke Shields, Adrian Zmed, Dominique Dawes, Jasmine Guy, Linda Blair, Mackenzie Phillips, Maureen McCormick, Davy Jones, Sally Struthers, Dodie Goodman, Darlene Love, and, God love him, Chubby Checker.
I did it with all of them.
Oh my God.
You guys, I'm sure you forgot like a bazillion too. I did it with every single one. And I was like, and you guys, because I was I was like 21 to 24 when I did it, you know, I was like, yay. I was more excited about, oh my God, John Cicada came through. Like, it was the most fun. I mean, Adrian Zmed and I are still to this day, as Lucy and I are like best friends. We're both godparents to Peter Scolari's children who just recently passed away. He did it as well. So, and we're the godparents. Like, my little Grease family of like the most, like, as Seth Rudetsky, once we did, like, Come Look at the Freaks from Sideshow, and we all were different people that had gone through, like, for, like, an Easter Bonnet production. It was like, come look at the Freaks, perform for 2 weeks. You know, it was like the Sideshow of Broadway, our, like, production of Grease. Yes. It was amazing.
Wow. I mean, we talk about Adrian Zmed, no joke, like once a week on this show. So, like,
completely.
We love
my God.
him.
He just spent the whole weekend with me. We just had the best weekend. I love him so much. I love him so much, you guys. I hope you say really nice things about him, because
we do. We love Zmed.
We love
in
Grease
earnestness.
too. We also love that he's like a theater person.
Okay, real quick theater story. I'll go as quick as I can go.
No, please just give it to us.
Okay, you can cut it out. I was so obsessed with him. So when I was in AMDA, I was going to AMDA. He was in Blood Brothers.
Yes, I love this show.
Oh my God. And he was so good. And he did this like dumb spit take that got the audience laughing every time. And then he would laugh, and, you know, it was like his bit, his shtick. Well, I would like do like standing room. Okay. Cut to, I went to that show maybe 27 times, like, because I was like, you know, they would give out free tickets at like college. So I would just keep going. And I was like obsessed with Adrian Zmed, obsessed. One time I was just like, I'm just going to follow him home, see where he lives. That's not weird, right? I mean, this, you guys, I'm not kidding. I was like in college. So I got on the freaking like A train, went uptown. He was living on the Upper West Side with Susan Wood. And I was like, ooh, I'm going to see where he lives. Not even joking. Cut to, I'm on tour right before I went to Broadway with Grease. And I was understudying Jan at the time. I was the understudy of Jan. And Adrian came in and was doing rehearsals with us. And I was like, oh my God, you guys, I'm never going to leave the tour if Adrian Zmed's on tour. Oh my God, I'm obsessed with Adrian Zmed, like obsessed with Adrian Zmed. So you know at the lineup where they're like, Jan, like Rizzo. And Jan was next to Danny. And he was like, we're talking. And always like, he would talk really fast, you know, right up until the time the curtain would open. And he was like, one time he's like, oh, I did this show, Blood Brothers, once. And I was like, never saw it. Swear to God. Swear to God, I was like, never saw it. Cut to, he was the one who told the Weislers, you know, there's this girl who's never gone on as Jan yet. You should see her. She's amazing. And then they put me on, because I had never been on. They put me on like a matinee. The Weislers saw me. And then literally the next week, they moved me to Broadway. All because of Adrian.
Oh my
and
God.
my love for Blood
Love
Brothers.
him.
I love
Did you ever, you told him that you followed him home, right?
Oh my God.
You eventually
so the
told
night
him.
that I was leaving the show, I was like, I'm going to tell you this really weird story now that we've been friends for 6 months. You know, it was like one of those like, or six, like we would become really close. I was like, I may or may not have followed you home. And then like, so in my dressing room, even in Hairspray, like, you know, 15 years later, I always have a picture of Adrian Zmed in like, you know, like Adrian Zmed, no shirt, hot, like TJ Hooker, like the most like oiled down, greasy Adrian Zmed version. And I always keep it in my dressing room wherever I go.
Oh my God, love.
Okay,
well,
sorry.
I feel like I don't know what the question was. I guess just like, was that a fun and wild experience? Which it sounds like yes. Can you tell us, was there any celebrity replacement that was like a nightmare or a story?
No, because I'm a people person. I will never tell you. And you said all the people. I mean, Linda Blair was doing Grease on Broadway.
It's very cool.
Okay, love.
It was so much fun. I mean, and I try to explain to people, I'm like, doing that time in Grease was as much fun and as exciting and as like, you know, what I wanted to do my whole life sort of thing as starring in Hairspray. Do you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't that, oh, now that I'm doing Hairspray, no, I fucking made it as Jan. Like, I was like, I'm doing it, you know? And all my friends still from that time were like, because Sutton Foster was in my original when I was on tour. It was me and Sutton were both the understudies. And then I went to New York, and then she went to New York, and then Sutton at one point was doing Sandy, and Hunter was doing, you know, like she was understudying Sandy, and Hunter Foster was understudying Danny, and we were all like, oh my God, I hope they go on together. You know, it was such a crazy, weird time. And
it had to have happened, right? It happened at some point, right?
I feel like it was supposed to, and then they chose who was going to go on. You know what I mean? Because we had one Sandy who was pregnant with twins, and she was like going on, and then she put the cat suit on, and we were like, oh no. I mean, it was such a great time. For me, I always think about Grease as like, that was my college, you know, like I learned everything about theater, and like, I was so bad because I would like be on stage just like talking during the hand jive. You know, Brian Bradley was our Vince Fontaine, and he would be like, oh my God, he'd be like, Marissa, shut up. Like on stage, he'd get so mad at me. I'm like, we're just in the back. I'm just miming. What are you talking about? And then like literally cut to me being in like Hairspray and people talking and my head would be like exploding, And I was like, dear Brian Bradley, I am so sorry. I did not understand about not talking on stage during a show, like years later.
Was it in character?
No, I was like giving literally gossip. Like I was so like, because I was like a freaking like, I was on Broadway at like 20. You know what I mean? Like it was so like, I didn't know better. Like when her husband during, there'd be like, if you saw the show as many times as that lots of people did, there was always like the freezes, but you'd have to literally freeze for like 10 minutes while the boys talked. And you would be so like, we couldn't just sit there and freeze. We had to talk, right? I mean, you're not supposed to, but that was like, Lucy was like, she's like, Rob just proposed to me. And then we'd be like unfrozen being like, oh my God. But it was like, you couldn't not talk. And then I'd be like in the bathtub when I was supposed to come out and I'd just be like, yap. I couldn't stop talking on stage. I didn't understand that you really shouldn't. I didn't understand that until I got a little older.
Oh my God.
Wiser.
That delivered on so many levels that we were not anticipating. We didn't know we were going to get the Zmed talk. Okay.
I love no one more.
Marissa, okay, you've co-starred in a lot of sitcoms over the years, but one of our favorites was your 2005 Fox show Stacked opposite Pamela Anderson and Christopher Lloyd. We have a soft spot for Pam, and though the show only ran for 2 seasons, the cast had great chemistry and the writing was really sharp. So can you tell us, like, what was the vibe like on set, since Pam was kind of notorious at that point, and you had a lot of scenes with the wonderfully kooky and strange Christopher Lloyd? Like, what was the vibe on set?
I mean, Christopher Lloyd is incredible. It's so funny because I look back at that show and I remember thinking like during the show, I'm not doing very much. Because I went literally from like Tracy Turbnlad to that, right? And I was like, I'm not doing very much. And then I go back now and watch it and I'm like, oh my God, this is like the dream role. What was wrong with me at that time? You look back at things sometimes. Like I appreciated Jan on Broadway more than I appreciated Stack just because I didn't know any better. Like I just didn't realize how good I had it, and I've talked to Steve Levitan, who created that show many times. I've been like, man, like it's kind of like me talking on stage. It's like I just didn't understand how lucky we were and how funny it was, and you know what I mean. Like I just didn't understand. Pam and I got along so well. I mean, she's off doing Chicago now, like about to do Chicago, and that's like so exciting. I'm gonna have to head out there and see her do it. Have you guys seen her?
No, but
not yet.
We have a text chain about it, buying tickets.
I can't wait. And so the vibe on set, Pam and I were like, we were inseparable. We had a great time. Christopher Lloyd was incredible. I mean, it was a very good experience, but I remember feeling like, oh, you guys aren't really using me a lot, but which is so silly because now I look back and I like, oh my God, I was on set for the entire show. Like I was on set the entire time, I think that's like a perfect example. And whenever I like meet people about to do a show and they're like, oh, I only have like one scene. I'm like, sit in that scene, steal that scene. Like, do not like you're so lucky for that scene, So
yeah,
I've definitely learned a lot of lessons on that show later on, like the talking on stage. I think we all learn, you learn and you can I freely admit, like, I didn't know how amazing that was. I didn't understand, but Pam and I would she'd be like, okay, we're getting on a jet and we're flying to Vegas and then we'll get back in time. And I'm like, I don't know where my purse is. She's like, just come on. We don't need money. And I'd be like, okay. I'm like, I don't, you know what I mean? Like, I guess I'm with you. So I had a great time with her.
Okay. Marissa Jaret Winokur, we have entered the part of the show that we call rapid fire. This is rapid, like Ann and I are going to be all over the place getting every other little piece of information we need to get out. You can be rapid if you want to, but you can take your time if necessary.
I have so many words, you guys.
Okay. You played a version of yourself, MJW, in the 2020 dance film Feel the Beat, and you mentioned that your shoes were from RuPaul, perhaps an allusion to when you appeared as a guest judge on the show back in season 2. Question A, did you really steal those shoes from the set of RuPaul's Drag Race? And 2, was RuPaul wearing sweatpants at the time of that Juju B and Tatiana lip sync?
She definitely was wearing sweatpants. Absolutely. I think everything. I think RuPaul's outfits are all 2-parters. They're amazing for if she walks out and then she takes off the bottom half. That's my opinion. I'm not factual. That's what I think. And no, I brought my own clothes to the RuPaul show to Drag Race to wear. They did not supply me with any wardrobe. So those shoes were mine to begin with.
Beautiful. Okay, thank you for confirming that, by the way.
Yes.
You won your Tony against the one and only Bernadette Peters, who was up for her role as Madame Rose in Gypsy. Did you catch flack from insane Broadway folks, since Bernadette is still the only Broadway Rose to not win a Tony?
Yes, there's like websites and like there were like post places set up for like how robbed Bernadette Peters was. Like still to this day.
People are sick.
People still to this day. I mean, yes, I get a lot of flack that Bernadette Peters absolutely should have beaten me. It's fine. I don't care. I have the statue.
Where does it live? Where does it live in your house?
Well, it does. Now it's right by my front door. It used to be in like my back guest room, and friends would come and be like, "Oh, I want to see your Tony." I'm like, "I think it's in the back," and then everyone would get mad at me. So now it like has it's prominently placed, mixed in with my son's participation trophies from different sports of his life. So sometimes the Tony, the drama desk are behind the sports trophies. Sometimes they get moved to the front. Depends on the cleaning day.
And you have to keep him in his place sometimes.
Yeah, it's featured also, but keeps you human. You know, it keeps you humble.
Yeah, it definitely keeps you human. Yeah, that baseball game in 2011 really meets up with my lifetime achievement. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so you've appeared in a number of sitcoms over the years, including Moesha, Playing House, Starman Greg, Step by Step, Just Shoot Me, The Goldbergs, Hot in Cleveland, and Melissa and Joey, among many others. Which was your favorite experience, and any chance you ever met Matthew Lawrence on the set of Melissa and Joey? Because I do love him, and I just want to know.
I love that. I think I did meet him. Sorry that I don't remember.
Oh my God, how could you not? That mouth, it's so memorable.
I'm so sorry. My favorite to this day is when I did Curb Your Enthusiasm. Before I did Hairspray, I did a bit on Curb Your Enthusiasm, and that was like, it was before the show was a big success. It was, nobody knew what it was, and still people are like, oh, "You're that girl from Curb Your Enthusiasm," and I always am like, "Oh, you're a cool person." That was my favorite one.
You're leading us right to our next question, which is perfect, because that scene is iconic with you and Larry. You have multiple scenes, but you're like knockdown, drag out fight where you're like fighting to get to be first in line.
First one. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, did you have a fight choreographer? Was it all improvised? And like, was he a respectful scene partner or was he a total dick?
Okay. First of all, I say they've redone that scene 1,000 times now, but I was the first one. I was the first one, and they always like, even like in when they did like when he was like dying in the hospital but then didn't die, like they even went back to that scene, just FYI. But no, there was no choreographer. There was no real script at that time. It was basically the direction was this: you're gonna come out of the elevator and I'm gonna be coming up the stairs, and then I'm going to fight you till we get to the door. And I'm like, okay, let's go. And then he's like, I might drag you down. And I was like, okay. And then we may have gotten to the floor. And I was like, okay, old man, I'm going to beat you to this door. Like I was dripping in sweat. It literally was like a true, what you see. We probably only did it once. I don't remember doing it more than once. I just remember genuinely fighting to beat him to the door. So yeah,
it's a great scene. It is iconic.
That was completely just us. That was before anybody was like, you can't put your hand on each other. You must. That was when they were like, you can be funny, just be funny. And nobody was there to like slow down your funniness.
You have a recurring role on What We Do in the Shadows as Charmaine, the next door neighbor to the vampires. And I was so pleased to see you get to play this like animal print wearing Staten Island woman who loves Atlantic City and the Super Bowl and hint of lime Tostitos. So question, does Charmaine drink Coke or Pepsi?
Oh, she definitely, you're right. She drinks Coke for sure, but like she probably goes back, not Diet Coke, never, but she probably goes like to the Coke Zero because it tastes like Coke, but not like Marissa would never drink Coke Zero because that's disgusting. Just drink Coke or drink Diet Coke, but she probably definitely drinks Diet Coke. Whenever someone says to me now, what would you want to do on TV? I'm like, I want to do what I do on What We Do in the Shadows. That character is Charmaine. It's like kind of like the nanny. She's kind of comes back. Like, I love the way I get to dress. Charmaine is so terrifying. Like, when I put that costume on, I'm a terrifying human, you know, and I'm obsessed with her. Like, my husband's a comedy writer, and I'm always like, you need to write me more Charmaine because she's awesome. She's terrifying, and I love her. Yeah.
Okay, Marissa, in 2010, you appeared on the first season of the Roundtable show, The Talk, with original hosts Sharon Osbourne, Sarah Gilbert, Julie Chen Moonves, Leah Remini, and Holly Robinson Pete. Leah and Holly both left the show after a season, essentially claiming that it was somewhat of a toxic work environment. What was the final straw that made you also leave the show after the first season? And if you had one, who was your buddy on that set?
Well, Julie and I love Julie. Julie Chen Moonves and I are super close.
I never even reconnected it again. I never thought about
there
it.
It is, right.
She knew what a big fan I was of Big Brother, and that's why I was on Big Brother. Like, I was the first cast when they did the first Celebrity. I was the first one called. I mean, I don't know if I really was, but I was one of the first. Well, I only got that from because when you're in the house, people were like, I found out 3 weeks ago. I'm like, I've known for like 8 months that I'm doing this. You know what I mean? Like, I was
like losers.
I was like, really? Who did you replace? Because literally I had to like sign something 8 months ago for the show.
Oh my God.
Julie and I were really close. I left the show. There was a ton of reasons, mostly because there was no place for me. They hired 6 hosts for a 5-host show, and I was doing like field pieces and this piece, you know what I mean? Like, I had 1,000 other things to go do, but in the like everything was like, oh, she's going off to do other things. No, I was going off because they didn't pay me the next week, so I was then not coming back. You know what I mean? Like, it was like there was no place for me. I went back many times and hosted like when they needed people, and I'm not very good at it. Like, I'm just not very good at it. And I as much as people want me to be a talk show host, I would play a talk show host really well. But because I am, like you might have noticed, like I am such a people pleaser, I am not going to say shit about anybody. So like if you're like, let's talk about the Will Smith slap, I'd be like, what was he wearing? Like, I don't want to offend. I was PC before it was popular to be PC. So in 2010, when like people weren't being PC, I was really good at it, you know? And so that gets me into trouble when being a talk show host. I am not very good at it because I'm so PC.
Yeah, and those shows like thrive on people sort of spouting their opinions and then creating that sort of contradiction.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I will tell you, every job I've ever left, if I stayed longer than I was supposed to or left earlier than I was supposed to, I always leave on good terms. It's never because of like anything dramatic. Whereas there's definitely were other dramatic things going on at that show. I was not part of that. I was like, I'm cool. I'm just going to hang out over here and mind my own business. It's very, yeah.
Okay, we're not looking for shit on this, for you to talk shit on this question, okay. But we have some context. So you have an iconic drive-in scene with Kevin Spacey in American Beauty. Be honest, all predatory behavior aside, was he methody in this scene where you famously tell Annette Bening she is so busted?
He was absolutely lovely. Like, there was no, like, it was one of my first film jobs ever. I walked onto a set. That's actually how I got, like, Dan Jinks, who produced American Beauty, who won the Oscar for American Beauty, who was one of the producers, was who told Robbie Marshall, hey, there's this girl that should maybe be Tracy Turbnlad. Like, she's a Broadway girl. I just met her. This, like, basically probably said, oh, there's this fat chick who I bet sings. She's from Broadway. And you're talking about doing Hairspray. I think she'd be amazing. Is how I got the first like call to do the show. So I went in the first week. I did American Beauty. I had that one scene, the You Were So Busted scene, iconic. I was at the Oscars. I mean, like, my scene was the Oscars. Like, I genuinely was like, oh, that's what happens. You go to Hollywood, you get a movie, and your scene is in the Oscars. Like, I have the variety where it was like back when we all like cared about like getting the variety in the mail, but it was like, I so aged myself there, but I guess being in a movie in freaking 1999 also ages me. Like, but like my picture was on the cover of Variety, like in the scene. Like, it was such an iconic moment, right? And I went and we shot it, and then they didn't like the way it looked, and then we came back and shot it again, you know, because they thought it was too, like, we had like costumes that were very like costumey rather than like real looking. So I was like the first day up, but there I was like my first day shooting a movie, and it's like Kevin Spacey, Annette Bening, Peter Gallagher, like, and it wasn't lost on me again. Like, I was like, oh my God, I'm in like Hollywood, you know, like that was, and they were all people that are like sort of theater people too. No, he was, I mean, and all the other stuff aside, like, he was super lovely and remembered me. Like, when he would see me like years later, he would be like, oh my God, we did that thing together, you know? And I said one line in a movie, and he was, he remembered me.
Well, that's generous. I was imagining you being like, no, his backstory included like him not talking to me or something.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Well, I was, you can't not talk to me on set. Even if you come to set and you don't want to talk to me, I'm going to make you talk to me. The vampires, when I first walked on What We Do in the Shadows, they were like sitting at lunch, and it was like they were all by themselves, just the 3 vampires like eating, and I was like, hi, I'm joining you, like, we have scenes together later today, and I don't want to feel like weird, you know, at set. And they were all like, oh, and you could tell nobody wanted me to sit at the table, and I like I broke them down, and then they all loved me. No, I definitely invited myself over to their table.
Okay, Marissa, you play a principal role in the 2001 ice skating comedy On Edge opposite Jason Alexander, Wendy Malick, Christy Yamaguchi, Kathy Griffin, and more. We scoured the internet for this film, but we could
I was gonna say, did you see it?
Find it. We tried everywhere. If we could have bought the DVD, we would. How much skate training did you have to do for this actual film that we have not seen, unfortunately?
One, I'm sure I have an extra copy somewhere. I'll have to send it to you.
We will send you the address. We will.
Yeah, we'll send you a self-addressed stamped envelope for that DVD. Legit.
It's worth it. It's so worth it. I rollerbladed I had a studio apartment in Hollywood, and I rollerbladed in my driveway for months before I did that movie. And I skated. I actually got quite good at skating, not as good as my character who had a double who hated it because she was like, oh, I have to wear fat padding. She was such oh my God. I'll never forget it being like, oh yeah, this is so great. I'm starring in a movie. I'm so excited. And my ice skating double who probably made herself throw up every day so that she could actually do what I was supposed to be doing was oh, I have to wear padding. And I was like, oh my God, isn't this great? We're so cute together. And she wanted to die. It was so funny. But no, it's a great movie. It was great. It's too bad that it's not streaming somewhere because it would be amazing. We need to get that streaming.
Totally.
Yeah, we've got to get it uploaded.
Okay, you appear in a few films we are obsessed with. Never Been Kissed as one of Drew Barrymore's high school friends. Fever Pitch as Drew's friend again with Ione Skye and Katie Strickland. Scary Movie as a Rose McGowan stand-in looking for beer who gets stuck in the garage door. And Teaching Mrs. Tingle, where you play Katie Holmes and Barry Watson's classmate taught by Molly Ringwald. So we assume that this is soon after you moved to LA post-Grease. Were you amazed at how little work these film actors did, or did they impress you?
Oh, no, I'm telling you, I came out and I literally was like, this is we're just it's all about the free food. I can't believe how much we make. You could stay up until, 5 a.m. and still go to work and still someone puts on your makeup. Coming up from Broadway, it's a joke, right? And I had such little parts. I wasn't doing very much. So I was sitting in my trailer, and this is before we had phones and we weren't sitting on our phones with internet. So I became very good friends with all those people that you just mentioned because you sat on set and made friends because you couldn't just hide in your dressing room and be on your phone. You weren't answering emails. You were if you sat in your dressing room, you were literally staring at a wall. There wasn't a TV. So you would sit on set and watch. So I moved out to Los Angeles, started booking all of these movies, and I never even went on set. I didn't know what a mark was. I didn't know what obviously I know what action is because I'd seen it in the movie. But I learned my training was I sat on Teaching Mrs. Tingle, and I remember just sitting there on set every day because I was in one classroom scene. I had to be on set for 4 weeks, right? Because it was used so much. And I just watched Helen Mirren day in and day out. I was like, oh, that's what you do. Oh, that, okay. And and I watched how the director, I studied, I really watched and learned and watched how she they'd put the sandbag down so she wouldn't go too far. And I was like, oh shit, that's cool. Just learning. And I just through osmosis was I was just trying to learn everything because I'd never been on a set, So yeah. It was really, that's how I learned. And I feel sorry for the kids today that are going out there because you do sit in your trailer. Even now I'm like, oh my God, I don't know half the people's names that I just worked with because I was on my phone the whole time. And I always think, ugh, that's so sad because you don't hang out. People take their food and go back to their trailers because they're I'm going to actually talk to my own friends and my own family. And yeah.
Right.
Was there any of the young actors that you were like, oh, this person's got it. This person's good?
Well, I was obsessed with Barry Watson. Obsessed. I loved Barry Watson. I still love Barry Watson. I worked again with him, with Melissa Joan Hart directed a movie, or maybe she didn't direct it.
Oh, the Christmas movie.
Yeah, the Christmas movie, and her and I worked together on that, and Barry Watson was in it, and Rizwan, who I just love so much. So I got to see Barry Watson again, and he was so cute because I was like, he's never going to remember because I did nothing in that movie. And he's like, we had so much fun. We hung out all the time. I'm like, oh my God, you remember me. I love you. Yeah.
Beautiful hair.
Oh, he's so handsome.
Okay, Marissa, last question. You played the casting director for the fictional musical version of White Men Can't Jump that Elijah was auditioning for on the last season of Girls. The scene is, to us, also iconic. He famously comes in and sings Let Me Be Your Star from Smash. Be honest, were you a Smash fan? And if so, Team Karen or Team Ivy?
Okay. Yes, I was a Smash fan, and I went back and forth just because, like, we love a Megan Hilty, but then, like, you just sort of just wanted, the other one to go ahead, right? When we shot that, I actually called Mark Shaman that morning, and I was like, I think that Andrew Reynolds is singing a song from Smash today. You need to come by. And he, like, put on his pants and came by and was, like, watching, and they were so excited. Judd Apatow was like, yay! Everybody was so excited that, like, and Lena and everybody was like, yay! Oh my God, Mark Shaman's here, and Andrew. Because Andrew Reynolds actually was an understudy for Link Larkin before Book of Mormon. That's like, right. He went on a couple of times because one of the Links, I went in, like, towards the end to close the show, and he was the understudy, or I don't remember. I went in when somebody was out, and whatever it was, and Andrew Reynolds went in, and so that was really fun. I know I get very lucky. I want to say, like, I'm very lucky in my, like, moments on screen that I get. Like, they do turn out to be like, oh, well, that was a really, like, worth it. And that I can say to young actors out there, like, take all the jobs. There's no, like, and I know it sounds so cliche to be like, there's no small jobs, but, like, literally, like, I say one line and I got to be I was in the Oscars as one of my first jobs, like, and all jobs are all exciting and great, and like, just do them. Like, oh, what would you rather be doing? Drinking a cup of coffee? Like, I have friends that are like, oh, hey, will you come, like, sing this thing at this, like, I'm like, yeah, well, or I'll stay home and watch TV. Like, always do the thing. Even if you think it's, like, so stupid, like, someone's filming something and they're like, oh, come be in my stupid video. It's like, do it. Like, just do it, like, yeah, because otherwise, I mean, like, I would much rather do this today than just sit and drink coffee. That's what I was going to do. So, like, always say yes is my little motto to tell people out there in the business.
Well, Marissa Jaret Winokur, we are just so grateful that you did take time to hang out with us today. We so appreciate it. It's been a blast.
Oh my gosh, thank you guys. Thank you for this walk down memory lane.
I have to say, I'm a little bit envious when, like, a person I'm going to call a theater person just is like, and then I had to, like, text Mark Shaman and be like, you have to come to this set of girls today because we're, like, doing a Smash moment. I, like, have a weird obsession with Mark Shaman and Scott Women.
I mean, it's not weird. He's like one of the most important people of our generation.
Brilliant. Just a brilliant mind and a brilliant musician. And also, I just remember, like, when Jan Hooks passed, like, he somehow, because he used to do those orchestrations for the Sweeney Sisters on SNL with Nora Dunn and Jan Hooks. So I think he had written a tribute to her or something, and it was very sweet, and I was very touched. But just, like, it cracked open his career for me in a way that I was like, wow, this person is really for me. So Marissa just being like, and then I just, like, texted Mark Shaman and was like, you gotta be on set of Girls. I was like, wow, very cool. She was so cool.
She's so good in that scene, also because she punctuates Elijah's audition, like, with the opening of a bag of chips, and it's, like, so perfectly timed. I was like, oh God, I feel like she just gets it so well. Also, who knew that we would get the unbridled joy of knowing that she is in love with Adrian Zmed and once followed him down the street? Come on. That's what I did to John Goodman. I didn't follow him all the way home because he was really not feeling it. But I love a person who is able to embrace that part of their past, which is sort of like the one who just sort of unabashedly loves what they love and loves it passionately. I really did cry when she was talking about her dad making her the mixtape of There's No Business Like Show Business, and her dad just, like, felt like Broadway was where she belonged. So I'm excited for her to come back because it sounds like she's ready to come back, and she is such a singular talent. And it was like when Hairspray happened on Broadway, it was like she exploded. It was like she was everywhere. It was one of those star-making performances, and it is a great role, but she was also so perfect for it.
It's interesting also, I was really into the funny girl conversation. I know that she was like, guys, I'm too old for this, and was never on the table. But I feel like me and you both were like, was it? And she was like, literally it wasn't. And we both were like, it was. And she was like, it wasn't. But I am just into that idea of her being in Funny Girl, and also, like, confused almost why she wasn't a part of the conversations, because I feel like they've been trying to mount a revival for so many years, and it's been like Stephanie J. Block and Leslie Kritzer and Lauren Ambrose and Idina Menzel, and it's like all of these women who've been sort of, like, talked about, and they've been, like, auditioning, or they've been trying to build productions around them. And it's like, why was no one talking about Marissa Jaret Winokur, who is a Tony winner, who is funny, who is Jewish, who can sing? Like, I just, it's like, maybe they were, and it was just behind closed doors, but I needed to be on the record. So I'm glad we asked her about it, and she was like, no, but I think it's a yes.
Folks, we've got one episode left for you this season, and it is somebody that we are so excited about. But we're going to give you a little bit of tease before we get there. So, Damien, can you do what we do, which is take this week's guess The theatrically pronounced Marissa Jaret Winokur. We were right all along. 2, next week's finale of You Might Know Her From. Damien, can you do it?
Why, Anne, I'm up to the task. Marissa Jaret Winokur was in Grease on Broadway with Linda Blair. Linda, of course, played Reagan in The Exorcist opposite Ellen Burstyn. Ellen was in Requiem for a Dream with Jennifer Connelly. Jennifer had dirt in her hair in The House of Santa Fogg opposite former guest of this show, Frances Fisher. Frances was a lesbian opposite Jessica Chastain in Jolene. Jessica was also in The Help with Octavia Spencer. Octavia Spencer played Ma in Ma with Juliette Lewis. Juliette was in August Osage County. I think she was very well cast in that. With someone who I forgot was in it, Abigail Breslin. Abigail was in Little Miss Sunshine with former guest of this show, Beth Grant. Beth Grant was in 1,000 Acres with Michelle Williams, the white one, who was in The Greatest Showman with Zendaya. And Zendaya is in Euphoria with next week's guest.
Ooh. Ooh. Oh, I'm so excited to dig into next week. Also, I've been thinking about Abigail Breslin because somehow she showed up on my timeline this week, and it was about how her and Ariana Grande hate each other. Did you know about this?
No. Is it from the set of
And I was like,
Scream
how do
Queens?
they even know each other? And I was like, oh yeah, Scream Queens is a thing that I didn't like watch in real time, so I don't have a frame of reference for it. But apparently then the internet comments that you always have to dive into told me that Abigail Breslin's boyfriend had a crush on Ariana Grande or something stupid along these lines. But I really liked watching this clip of them where it was deeply uncomfortable. I'm going to send it to you. And guess what? I'm putting it in the show notes.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. I want to see that ASAP. I don't think I'll ever forgive Abigail Breslin for playing Baby in the Dirty Dancing remake. I'm going to tell you, that show got 3 viewers, and I think the viewers were me, Anne, and our dear friend Seth, who I think you happened to be over doing something for the podcast one night, and it was like, it's on, and it was like, it's a musical, and then like you sat on the sofa and we watched the whole thing.
Deborah Messing played her mom. Didn't she play the Kelly Bishop role? That movie is outrageously
and
terrible.
Nicole Scherzinger is Penny, and like
Yes.
and like they all like everyone not everybody sings, but like Deborah Messing sings to like Sarah Hyland, who's the I don't wanna, but I don't even think that she does that thing. It is the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. So I don't think I can forgive Abigail Breslin for it, but I will talk to Nicole Scherzinger or Deb Mess on the show about it.
We got to go see Birthday Candles before Deborah Messing leaves Broadway. It's very important. I have to see her on stage.
Did you see Mulligan Express or whatever it was called?
Wait, the Amanda Peet play?
Brothers
The Amanda
Mulligan.
Peet play? Hold on. No, what was it called? The Commons of Pensacola. Oh,
No. That was
Blythe Danner.
and Sarah
Commons
Jessica
of Pensacola
Parker.
was Blythe. Was it?
Yeah. They played
It was.
Mother.
All I know is it was written by Amanda Peet. What is the play that you're talking about with Deborah Messing?
It was called like O'Looney Brother. It was like sounded like Ed. What is that guy's name? Ed Burns.
The Brothers McMullen.
It sounds like that, but it's not that.
The Sisters Rosenzweig.
Hopefully, it's very important we let our listeners know. I know we have a lot of Deb Messing fans, so I know they'll probably already know this.
They're
probably,
here for it. They're gonna be mad that we don't know it at the tip of our tongue.
Y'all are screaming it right now on the street as you're listening to me in your headphones. Okay, I got it. It's called Outside Mullinger.
I would have never gotten there. It was a play?
It was a play. It was on Broadway in 2014, and it is written by John Patrick Shanley.
Oh, sure. Yes. Person who wrote Doubt and, surprisingly, Moonstruck. Irishman.
You know I have a bone to pick about it. For no reason. Irish Catholics think they know Italian Catholics.
Right. They're cultural immigrants. I think that I'll take Shanley over David Mamet, who's been dead to me for years, but is even deader than ever these days.
B.D. Wong posting that photo that was like, fuck David Mamet. I was like, I'm into this.
Oh, God. He's so disgusting. Deborah Messing, we love you. She did get a few good reviews for Birthday Candles. I can't wait to see it.
I just have a question about David Mamet before we end the show. Am I
Please.
wrong or am I right that Bill Macy and Flicka are good friends with David Mamet?
Correct. They're like part of the Atlantic Theater Company, which like he helped found. And so, yeah, they're all part of that mix. And also Patti LuPone is like his best friend. And then somebody posted, did you see this? Patti LuPone is always defending David Mamet. And because I guess they're old friends. And she told this story about how they had terrible service at a restaurant and David Mamet rolled up a dollar bill and flicked it on the floor and said, if you want your tip, you can pick it up off the ground to a server. And she put this in her autobiography. And I thought, it's not a good look. It's not a good look.
Wait, why would you ever share that with especially if it's a person that you like?
Right. I'd have to cut a person that I liked out of my life if that was their behavior. I think it's telling We've learned a lot about Patti LuPone in season 4. Please dig back into those archives if you want to know the facts that we know firsthand. Not facts, let's say. They're
alleged facts. Alleged. All commentary is alleged, obviously. All allegations are always alleged here. And do you remember in our first season, while we're reminiscing in this penultimate episode, do you remember in our first season you did accuse someone of killing Prince and Michael?
Yeah, I actually just thought of her yesterday. Her initials are JH. She knows who she is, and you can Google it and you'll figure it out. Who was with both of them at the time of their death, the weekend of their death? It's not hard to find out. Folks, if you like this kind of bullshit where we're accusing people of murder on the record, please leave us that 5-star review on the Apple Podcast app. It's all in good fun. JH knows it is. If you could leave a few words, an actress's name, something you love about the show, or if you just want to say chat and chew, we'll understand what you mean. So please, 5-star review and a few words on the Apple Podcast app, if you please.
And while you're on your phone, do that thing where you go to Instagram or Twitter or wherever you want to find us, Venmo, Facebook even, not that though, but follow us on social media. You can find me on all of the things at Damien Bellino, and it is Damien with an A. And you can find my best friend, my COVID-infected friend, my friend who did Venmo request me for that night out we had last week. You can find her at Rhoda Man. That's RODEMANNE. The other day, she did say her name was Rhoda Man. She forgot. Her name is not Rhoda Man. That's her handle, though, so follow her there.
You Might Know Her From is produced by us. That's Ann Rodeman. I got my name right today. And Damien Bellino, my best friend, my cohort, companion of Ronette, the intern. And of course, we want to thank our consultants at Grumpy Entertainment. That's Jason Jude Hill and Daniel Sears. They keep us sane, they keep us on track, they keep us level-headed and buoyant, dare I say buoyant. Of course, all the editing you hear on each and every episode of You Might Know Her From is courtesy of our brilliant editor, Mr. Daniel Sears. Thank you, Daniel.
Special thanks to Gang. All that music that you hear underscoring each and every episode of You Might Know Her From is by Gang. You can download and stream Gang wherever you listen to your music, babe.
If you need to see the beef firsthand between Ariana Grande and Abigail Breslin, I've got you covered. That's going directly in the show notes at the bottom of the episode description. I spent a lot of time putting everything that we discussed there so that we have an archive for, if nothing else, our very own enjoyment.
As discussed, our memories are getting older. We need it, babe. I was watching that video you posted the other day of Ann Miller talking about her, connection to what Judy talked to her while she was in rehearsals for Sugar Babes. Is that right?
Yeah, I think she was on stage with Mickey Rooney, and then she was like, "Oh, there was a fresh breeze of wind," and she was like, "That was Judy. That was Judy."
I was just so fascinated by it and thought that, and then she looked at Mickey Rooney and she was like, "That was Judy," and he was like, "I know." What?
Yeah, and she was like, "The 122 people inside Mickey Rooney, they're all very mystical."
I don't know. It just made me laugh so hard.
I feel like what we at our heart is an Ann Miller and Mickey Rooney dynamic between the two of us, and that's why it hits so hard.
I think that it is what we are working towards, if I'm being honest. I think, God, if I make it another 30 years, I think I'm just going to start embracing it and being like, ha,
Hopefully we can tour the Eastern Seaboard in Sugar Babies. People will accept us in those roles.
Bless Ann Miller. She's always got those, baby hairs. She was really setting the trend early. Yeah. She has, her little baby hairs, styled on her head.
I love Ann Miller because she lied about her age to get an MGM contract, and she was the fastest tapper in the world. But then what she became known for later in life were these huge, enormous wigs that were super plasticky sprayed. And because I had this connection to this Judy Garland community in New York City, I learned from a Judy Garland historian that Ann Miller called each one of her wigs by a different slang word for vagina. So they were called cunt, pussy, snatch, gash. She named each one of her enormous wigs after a vagina.
Well, wow.
That's Hollywood.
She needs a little bit of body fresh, dewdrops of spring for her wigs. For her.
Damien is giving me improv 4. You are giving me great callbacks. I love it. I love it.